On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome inside episode 383 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan, talking to you from a hotel room in Sault Ste. Marie alongside Brandon Pillar up in Collingwood. And just like we said, while I was driving, a signing would happen. But it's not Brady Tkachuk. It's not Drake Batherson. Filip Gustavsson has agreed to terms on a 2-year contract. And there's an interesting stipulation we'll get into. We also get back to our organizational value rankings. We took Friday off, but now we've got a trio of defensemen in the mid-40s. And it's Monday's show, although a day late. So we do have a SensCentral citizen. Jack Paella joins us. No, it's not Connor Brown. You might want to watch this one on YouTube, as we've got a doppelganger on our hands. But Jack's awesome. We really appreciate having him on, and we hope that you do too. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day. Today is Tuesday, August 31st, and Pilsy, Philly franchise is back.
I love it. It's not the contract we were hoping for, but that's still good news. Goalie-friendly show, getting Philly franchise back in the mix for 2 more years, and a great contract at that. And I'm talking great contract for both Filip Gustavsson and the Ottawa Senators. So it's great news. Even though it's kind of one of the minor RFAs to be dealt with, it's great news to have Philly franchise signed.
So the first year is a 2-way contract, but the second year is only 1-way. Pilsy, this has been a bit of a trend for the Senators in years past.
And I think it makes a lot of sense. It's good. It's kind of like dangling that carrot in front of the prospect's eyes, right? Like they did it to Joey Daccord and Marcus Hogberg, and they did it at perfect times for those guys because they were at points where they've played in the AHL and they have aspirations to go to the NHL, but they're not quite there yet. They still maybe need one more season down in the minors, but the season after, the Senators are saying to all 3 of those guys, Philly franchise included, that we think you can be NHL ready. So we're willing to put our money where our mouth is, right? Like we're willing to pay you a full NHL salary, regardless of whether you're up or down. But we are hoping, and so we're counting on you being ready for the NHL. And I bet Philly franchise is thinking the same thing. Like I just showed in, 9-game small sample size, but I just showed you I can be a top goalie in this league for this team in the NHL if you give me a chance. So I'll do what you want me to do in Belleville, in the minors. You got Matt Murray, you got Anton Forsberg. I'm the 3rd guy in line there. And then the next season, I'm ready for the NHL, and I want to get paid like I'm ready for the NHL.
Only 1 regulation loss in those 9 games last year. He went 5-1-2 and had the 2nd best save percentage in the entire National Hockey League when you filter games played minimum of 9, right? Because he wouldn't qualify, didn't play enough games, but only Alex Nedeljkovic, for the goalies that played at least 9 games, stopped more pucks than Filip Gustavsson. So that in itself is a huge step forward from, even though the record was there in Belleville, we know how dominant they were before COVID. He had more or less lost his starting job to Joey Daccord. But this last year, he completely supplanted him to the point where they protected him in the expansion draft. So you knew a deal was imminent. I was wondering about that structure, whether it would be 2-way the first year. We've seen Anton Forsberg. He's a type of goalie, no offense, but at this point in his career, you can put him on waivers if he doesn't have a great training camp. That could still happen. However, now they're even deeper in that position, which is great to see. And I'm excited. I mean, we haven't really, buried how we feel about Filip Gustavsson. You had him protected, but for me, I need a little bit more than a 9-game sample size. 2 years, it's good. Like Joey got 3 years when he came out of his contract, albeit I think he was 2 years older
He's a little
at
older,
the time
yeah.
of signing. Same with Hogberg. So you're talking about Gustafsson still only 22 years old right now. He'll be, just turned 23. Just looked that up. June 7th, 98. So, hey, he's at that stage in his career where it's time to take the next step and then become a full-time NHLer. But it's great. It's the first domino, Pilsy, and now we await the remaining signings of Logan Brown, Brady Tkachuk, and Drake Batherson. So lots of news on the horizon. There has to be if they're going to have a full roster at training camp, and that is what we hope for, because, oh man, the circus would certainly start if either of Brady or Drake don't report to training camp. You can bet on that. You can also bet at BetOnline if you're into sports wagering. I know Pilsy likes to mix it up a little bit, and he does that at betonline.ag. Here's how you go about signing up for your free account at betonline.ag. You go to your website on either a mobile device or your internet desktop, and when you make your free account at betonline.ag, make sure you use our promo code LOCKEDON. Promo code LOCKEDON will get you 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit, and you can choose what you want to wager that. And then when you win it, if you win it, you can earn real money from that welcome bonus. It's our friends at BetOnline just trying to make it a little bit easier for you to get in the action, because we don't want you sitting on the sidelines, leaned up against the wall. We want you right in the mix, in the action. And the best way to do that is to go to betonline.ag, sign up for a free account today, and then use our promo code LOCKED ON to receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. It's BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. All right, Pilsy, now we got our favorite segment. We've got a couple this week. We're doing a SensCentral Citizen today and Friday as well. But to kick us off, Jack Paella, fun conversation with him.
Oh, yeah. Jack is a great SensCentral Citizen. And I know we've said this a bunch of times, but legitimately, when he hopped on that Zoom, I thought you were pranking me and we got Connor Brown and you just didn't tell me. There was a split second where I was like, wait, what? This isn't Jack. This is Connor Brown. And then, of course, it was. We figured out it was indeed Jack and not Connor Brown. And yeah, it was a great chat with him. He's been a Sens fan for a while. He's got some memorabilia he's got to show us in the interview, how he got into the game, some of his favorite players. So it's just another great edition of SensCentral Citizen. And we love having you guys on the show. That's why we're here. We're the People's Pod. We want to get you on the show. So if you haven't been a SensCentral Citizen yet and still like to, DM us on Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Without further ado, here he is, our SensCentral Citizen. It's Jack Paella. All right, we now welcome a very special guest. It's back to our favorite segment. It's a SensCentral Citizen. We got Jack Paella here. No, it's not Connor Brown, despite what you may think. Jack, what's going on, man? Welcome to Locked On Senators.
Hey, guys. It's going good. Stoked to be here. And it's like a dream come true for me, it feels like right now. I'm so giddy and so excited to be here.
Where are we talking to you from?
London, Ontario.
Nice. So on the outskirts of enemy territory, we'll call that. But
yeah, that's right.
How do you become a Sens fan out in London?
Dude, okay. So I was a kid growing up, just getting into hockey, and McDonald's was doing the cards at the time when you get like a card in your Happy Meal, and I got this one right here, Wade Redden, number 6.
Nice.
So I still have it, not in great shape anymore, but that's the one. And then I'd keep going back, and luck of the draw, I got Alfie next, and then just went on from there. And I still have them all, Heatley and Spezza too. So that's how it happened, man. That's how it happened. My brother was a Leafs fan growing up, and I'm the only one that stuck true to my team. So
nice.
Yeah.
We love to hear a Sens fan in a family of Leafs fans. It's always good to break away from that. That's for sure. So what are some of your earliest memories of being a Sens fan? Like, did you get to go to many games? Were there some games or moments that you watched that really stuck with you, or what was something that really kind of struck home for you?
You know what? I've only ever been to one Sens game. I could tell you the date, but it was like April 13th, because it's my dad's birthday, and it would have been
Nice.
2015. Sens won 1-0 in Ottawa, Hockey Night in Canada against Toronto. Spezza scored posting in. It's crazy, I remember it, but it's the only time I've ever seen him play. So that one was very special to me, and I was in tears when I got there, because I was like, it's been such a long time coming. That was my Christmas present. And so that one was super special to me. And then growing up, I became a fan right before the 07 Stanley Cup final run there. And I remember best in the East, best in the West game it was like Ottawa and Detroit, and Ray Emery just stood on his head. And I knew from that moment on, I'm never trading teams, never switching, nothing. So
that's awesome. Man. Who outside of the big four, because you mentioned Ray Emery, we'll add him in there for fun, and then the pizza line. Outside of those top end guys, was there one from that 07 team that you still look back and you're like, that's my favorite dude, like that's my guy?
Wow, man, I wear number 11 to this day, so it's pretty tough to knock Alfie out a number 1 spot. But I liked Mike Fisher. He was really good. I always cheered for him. The big rig, Chris Phillips, was always special to me too. Guys like that, I always cheered for. So I don't know. Yeah.
Do you think we have the second coming of Mike Fisher and Shane Pinto now taking his old number 12, big righty centerman?
I mean, I love that. I love 57. 57 look good too, but 12, it suits him better. It does. I think Pinto has more upside, guys. I really do. I think he has a better opportunity to put up a lot, like more points. Like he has some legit top 6 potential, guys.
Oh yeah, I think so. Like he already showed he can be a second line center in a small sample size. So I think it's looking good. I would agree with you. Now let's focus on today's Ottawa Senators. Who are some of the guys that you're stoked about or you think are going to have a major impact this season?
Well, I'm a huge Shabby guy. I love Shabbat. I really, truly believe he's the nicest skating defenseman in the NHL. Watch that guy walk the line. I sound like a fanboy, but I genuinely mean it. Like he's that good. And I think he can really lead this team on the back end for a long time coming. Obviously, huge deal. So, he's a big one. And Brady's obviously the heart and soul too. That guy puts pucks in the net like nobody else, right? Like it's nobody's business. So he's in front, he's crashing and banging. And when people see a guy on your team doing that, everyone else joins in, right? And so he's amazing. Tim, elite, nothing else to say. And then, guys, like everybody, I really do. I like everybody. Connor Brown, breakout year, good looking guy.
Yeah, definitely good looking guy. Now, some big news dropped today around the NHL. Svechnikov just signed his big deal. So we're waiting on Brady, another RFA from that same draft class. How do you think Brady's deal is going to be kind of affected by the deal Svechnikov signed? What was it? 8 years, $7.5 million?
Yeah, it was 8 years, 7.75. It was about 10 minutes, right? Yeah, 10 minutes ago or whatever. And
breaking news.
I was waiting for you guys to ask. And I was thinking about it before coming on. I think, here's the thing. I think Svechnikov might have higher offensive output for a longer stretch of time in the prime of his career. But I don't think he's going to have the leadership and he's not going to mean as much to the Hurricanes as Brady means to the Sens. So, that said, I wouldn't be mad if Brady got the same money. I wouldn't be mad, but realistically, I think they're going to give him close to 7. I think that's kind of what he's going to get, and hopefully he signs long term. And if he signs long term, give him an extra couple bucks there, and hopefully he sticks around and has that nice C on his sweater sooner or later.
Yeah, well, you need a captain. I think DJ Smith echoed that in his latest interview when he was saying that when you want a team to have success and go to the playoffs, like you look up the rafters and the captain always comes to mind of those teams. You know what Brady's going to bring. You know what Thomas Chabot's going to bring game in and game out. But looking at the rest of this roster, if the Sens are going to have success next year, maybe even challenge for a playoff spot, who's the X factor to you that's going to need to have a big year?
Yeah, honestly, there's 2 guys that come to mind off the top of my head. Eric Brandstrom and Matt Murray. Those are the 2 guys that really come to mind. And I think Matt Murray showed us he can be the same guy he was in Pittsburgh. He showed us that towards the end of the year. It was a really short stretch of games, but you don't win 2 Stanley Cups as a rookie if you're not an elite goalie in the NHL. And I really think this is what that guy is. Just going through a tough stretch. He's still young. Guys. Like he has so much time. And he's on that contract for another 4 years. I really think he can prove it, but I think this year is a must for him to show that he's still that elite caliber goalie in the NHL. And then as for Eric Brandstrom, he's the guy we got from Mark Stone, right? And this guy he's so skilled and so talented, and I'd love to see him play on the right side. I know Pilsy, you want to see that too. But I think we got to give him more time on the power play. We got to get him out there because that's what he's good at, right? He's an offensive defenseman. He's really good at getting the puck out of transition. We've seen it before. He can't start in as many defensive situations as he's been in because he's a smaller guy. But man, like, I think this guy, sky's the limit for him. He's 21, 22 maybe, right? He's got so much time. And I think this year's the year he's going to step it up and show everybody this is why the Senators gave up Mark Stone to get this guy.
You think that he plays another game in Belleville? I'm just looking at the contract situation. That's where it gets interesting, but he could come into camp and knock the door down and say, I need that top 4 spot right next to Zub where I finished the year.
Yeah, I don't want him to play another game in Belleville. He's certainly proved to everybody time and time again he doesn't belong in Belleville. But knowing Ottawa, they really like to take their time with their defensemen, and I get it. It's worked so far. So if he plays down in Belleville, he won't play more than 5 games.
Yeah, that's a fair statement, and I hope you're right because I mean, the franchise, it's his time, so I definitely want to see more of that. So those are kind of all the internal factors. Now it's been a bit of a I would say definitely a sleepy offseason for the Ottawa Senators. What do you think Dorion has left up his sleeve as far as signings, trades? Do you think he's going to stand pat, or do you see a real need and a real player that they should target for to have in training camp to start this season off?
Well, you guys know it as well as I do. We're pretty thin at center. So, I mean, I'd love to see someone come in, but I'd love to see it be someone big, like somebody. Ryan Strome would be great. Don't get me wrong, but the package that's rumored to be linked to Ryan Strome is just too strong for my liking. Guys like Thomas Hertl have been rumored, and that's someone I'd be more inclined to see come over here because he's a little bit older. I guess he's the same age as Strome, but he's older than the rest of the guys on the team, and he can really show guys, hey, I've been deep in the playoffs before. I've scored 4 goals in a game. I know what I'm doing. I've played with Joe Pavelski, Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau. I have their wisdom rubbed off onto him. So someone like that, I would love to see it. Do I think it's going to happen? I just don't know. I really don't know. I'd love to say yes, but realistically, we got Josh Norris who's playing with Brady and Brady and Batherson there on our top line. And then we got so many young guys. So Pierre Dorion could just fill that straight from our prospect pool, right?
I got a final question for you, Jack. Thanks again for joining us. It's been a great chat, but I do want to confirm that Thomas Hertl won the game that he scored 4 goals in, unlike another certain player who scored 4 goals a couple of years ago. But my final question,
right.
You mentioned the top line, but the second line seems like it's going to be Stützle and Connor Brown starting on either wing, and it's up for grabs in the middle. Shane Pinto, Colin White. Who do you start there game 1 regular season?
Geez, well, I mean, if it's up to me, it's Shane Pinto for sure because, he finished the season so hot. But, guys, there's one other guy that I think could steal that spot, and that's Logan Brown. I really do. He could come in with a flame lit under his pants, you know what I mean? And this guy could actually knock the doors down. He's motivated. He's working harder than he ever has in the gym, so they say. And if that guy can play top 6 minutes in Ottawa, what a revelation that would be.
Yeah, I love the optimism, Jack. I'm right there with you with Matt Murray bouncing back, Eric Brandstrom breaking down the doors. But unfortunately, the ship has sailed on Logan Brown for me as an Ottawa Senator. But hey, I would love to see it. That's for sure.
The ship actually just crashed. It's day to day.
Yeah, true. It didn't make it out of the harbor, unfortunately. But now I got one more question for us. You said you're living in London, Ontario. So can we officially make you our Ben Rogers scout, boots on the ground?
I've been waiting for you guys to ask. I've been waiting.
Nice.
Yes, of course. I'm at the Bud all the time. My buddy works in the marketing department for the Knights as an intern right now too. And
cool.
So I'm going to get him to get the inside scoop for us.
Nice. Did you get to see him play earlier, or you haven't had a chance to watch him?
Yeah, I haven't seen him yet. I haven't seen him since, because his rookie year would have been COVID, right? The year that got canceled by COVID. So if I saw him, I don't remember him. I don't recall, but I saw Formie play there a bunch of times. Yeah, he was sick. So fast.
Got to keep your head on a swivel watching that kid go up and down the ice, hey?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he flies, and he can put the puck in the back of the net too. He does that same move as McDavid on the breakaways, eh?
Yeah, I mean, when you got McDavid's speed, why not copy his move as well? It seems to work for him.
Oh,
no question. And then, so that's what we'll get you out of here, because you mentioned the London Knights connection. What's Formanton's upside for you? Because I think he's inching closer to being a part of this like real core where you don't want to touch it and you just let them develop together. This guy's a hell of a player.
Yeah, I think this guy was a first-round talent when we drafted him in the second round. I really thought that he was going to go higher, and he's proved it to everybody, right? Like, this guy's legit. This guy could play top 6 for us at some point, maybe even this year. Depends, right? Who gets hurt, right? Somebody falls out of the top 6. Put Alex Formanton in there. He's proved he can score, and he's proved he scored in the OHL in Belleville. Now give him the opportunity in the NHL, right? Like, this guy knows what he's doing, and he has the wheels to blow by any defenseman in the NHL.
Well, you just proved with that scouting report that we can trust your Ben Roger reports that will come later on this year, Jack. So we're going to have you back on the show after the Roger and the Knights start getting rolling come October. But it was great getting to put a face to the name, and maybe we'll be able to trick someone when we put the photo out that we had Connor Brown on the show too. But hey, Jack, really do appreciate it. It's awesome getting to learn that Sens fans extend, all over the place. You've had people on overseas, but then in a borough of London where it just seems like you are in Leafs territory there, you may as well be downtown Toronto with how many Leafs fans are crawling around out there, that it's great that you're representing Ottawa real well. So thanks for taking the time with us today, man, and look forward to doing it again down the road.
All righty, guys. I'm pumped to talk to you again soon.
Stick taps to Jack for joining us. Really appreciate that. Stay tuned later this week on Wednesday. So we missed Monday's show. Today we're making up for it. No problem at all. So tomorrow we'll be right back with an interview with Igor Sokolov, everybody's favorite shark in the organization. And then on Friday, we're going to Australia, mate, for another SensCentral citizen. Baruga, exactly. In New South Wales. And then we found out there's a bit of a hive of Sens fans in New South Wales. So we love that. Ash Rogers will join us on Friday, and we're looking forward to that. But Pilsy, we're also looking forward to continuing our countdown of organizational value rankings. Before we get to that, I need to power up. So I'm going to grab a Built Bar. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar and comes in 16 amazing flavors. So if you have one every day like Pilsy, you'll never get tired of having the same old. Built Bars are soft and easy to chew, and they're all 100% covered in chocolate, whether you get one of the 8 chocolate nut free, or if you want some nut crunch in your Built Bar, that's easy because they have 8 different types for you to choose from. As I mentioned, they're soft and easy to chew. Built Bars are great for the health conscious guy or girl as well, because you can lose or maintain weight while indulging in a delicious treat. The bars are low in calorie, low in sugar, but they're high in protein and high in fiber. A nutritional grand slam, you could say. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. So go see for yourself at BuiltBar.com. And when you're on BuiltBar.com, you're checking out all the amazing products. You put some in your cart. Of course, you're going to use our promo code. Why wouldn't you? Locked15. That's promo code Locked15. Gets you 15% off your next order. It's BuiltBar.com. Promo code Lock15 for 15% off your next order.
Ross, and while you're powering up with a Built Bar, you're watching TV, and I don't know, have you ever had this? You go over to a friend's house or a family member's house, and you're like, all right, the game's on. Let's watch it. Let's turn it on. And you've got 6 different controllers, and you're like, how do I get the TV on? Which one is for sports? Which one is for movies? Which one's for TV shows? And then you get it figured out, and then you got to remember your logins, your passwords. You got 8 different things. Some of the passwords you need capitals, some of them you need numbers, and it's just an absolute gong show. Get rid of that. DirecTV Stream. You can get all that in one place. Get your TV together. I'm telling you, it's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before. So you can watch your favorite sports, movies, shows all in one place. Thank God. That means no more juggling the remotes, no more needing to buy another device ever again. And the best part is there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter, get rid of the confusion, and get your TV together, guys, with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Contents vary by package. DirecTV stream. Check it out at directtv.com.
All right, Pilsy, let's get into those organizational value rankings. If you've missed any, check out the last few episodes of Locked On Senators. We took Friday off. It was just a busy show. But going back, I think we started Monday, with our rankings, and then continued after our interview with Angus Crookshank. So now we're starting to get at an interesting spot in our rankings. And coming in at number 45 to lead off this trio of defensemen, it's Johnny Tykonik from the University of Omaha, formerly the Nodak Sens. But what did you make of his first year after that transfer?
Yeah, Johnny Tykonik, the outgoing defenseman. When his transfer happened, I think everyone was excited, like Johnny Tykonik especially, because he just wasn't getting the minutes he felt he deserved. And as a second-round draft pick, everyone else felt he deserved at Nodak because, I mean, when you got a decor that Nodak had, we all spent a bunch of time watching him last season. Hard to get into that lineup. So it was tough for Johnny Tykonik, and I think he just didn't really fit with what Brad Barry was trying to do. So he goes to a little bit of a lesser program in Omaha where he gets top minutes. And I remember it was Omaha played before Nodak, like when college hockey got started. And Ross, we were glued in on the Omaha game. And Johnny Tykonik, it was clear from the start, he had the green light from his coach. I think he had like 9 shots in that first game, but 9 shots, I don't know how many of them were quality shots and how many of them were just like, well, I got the green light, I'm just going to fling it on net. And he was an absolute animal out there, just a complete wild card. And then I think his coach was like, okay, like we want you to do some of that, but tone it down just a little bit, Johnny. And then things kind of regressed and he wasn't able to pop off like we were hoping. And he ended up having very similar numbers to what he had at Nodak. So for me, Johnny Tykonik's experience at Omaha was a little bit underwhelming because I thought with a top role and he was playing some power play time that he would really boost off, but he kind of did the same as he did in Nodak with a better opportunity, I thought.
Yeah, there's a lot of times, there's a few at the end of games where they're down a goal.
Yeah, especially at the end.
He would try to do everything himself and he wouldn't get his teammates involved. And more than once, it ended up in the back of his own goal. And that's kind of the roller coaster you sign up for with Johnny Tykonik. Like offensively, he's gifted. Like he's got hands, he can move, he can shake defenders, he's got speed. But defensively, oh man, there's a little bit more to work on. Can you believe he's going into his senior year right now? Like, doesn't it feel like he just got drafted yesterday?
Yeah, I feel like he should be going into his third year, right? Like he had that year at Nodak, then he switched, he went to Omaha, now he's on his third year. But he's a year past that. So when you're looking, like, remember when they drafted JBD and Johnny Tykonik and we're all like, oh, maybe they're going to be a D pair together, huh?
The original buddies.
Yeah. That started the friendship tour. Yeah, good call. Yeah. But we were all so excited. We're like, well, these two have played together. They're going to play together for the next 3 years. They're going to come into the NHL together and it's going to be awesome.
I don't know if Tykonik's earned an NHL contract at this point.
No, I don't think so. And he's unsigned, so that goes to show you. But and he's ranked at 45. We're talking about a second round pick of only a few drafts ago. So this is a guy who should be much higher on our rankings, but he hasn't really proved to us that he's kind of progressing in that way. So for me, I'm not ready to write Johnny Tykonik off, but I certainly have him down a couple tiers as we're showing here with our rankings. And I think this is where he belongs.
Yeah. And it's really unfortunate too, because I like the style that he brings to the table. It just hasn't really worked in a sense, like what can he do better next year? Do you think to earn his spot back up? Because he's down 11 spots from when we did this exercise last year.
Yeah, we pretty much talked about it. He needs to understand that, yes, you can be an outgoing defenseman, as he calls himself, but you need to do it in spurts and you need to take calculated risks. Whereas with Omaha, it was puck on stick, full speed ahead, no worry or responsibility about what's behind you, which, sometimes you can do, but especially on a weaker team like Omaha, once one of your best players is just firing on all cylinders, the rest of the guys got to play catch up. And And then, like you said, he wasn't relying on his teammates at all. So I can't imagine how they felt in the locker room after they let a goal in on an empty net. And they're like, Johnny, buddy, like maybe pass the puck once in a while. Like,
I know,
come
it's
on.
tough.
So for me, he just needs to learn a little bit of responsibility, a little bit of discipline, and learn to pick his spots, I would say, is the most important part. Because he does have that speed. He does have that offensive talent, but he's not able to understand when to use it and when to say, all right, there's a loose puck there, but it's a better decision just to leave it. And then I'll get my gap control and we'll stop their transition and then we'll get the puck. Not go get out of position. No one's pinching behind me. And now we've created a turnover and I'm stuck in the corner of the O zone here.
Yeah, 8 points in 23 games with University of Omaha, which is also in the NCHC, so divisional rival for North Dakota. He was a -8, and we're talking about a guy who was the 48th overall pick in that first draft of the rebuild back in 2018. So we'll be watching and cheering for him, but we just hope that the all-around game rounds out, because he would be a good asset to have in the organization. And this guy's an athlete. Like, you heard it leading up to the draft and after. This guy runs triathlons, and he's definitely a gifted athlete. So it's
Were
just
his parents athletes as well? Was he one of those kids? I think his mom was an Olympian,
so.
no? Something like that?
Cannot confirm or deny.
Okay.
But
We'll have to look into that.
What I can tell you is, well, it makes sense if he's from Calgary. I know they got the big training grounds there for the Olympics. But that being said, let's just see a little bit more all around, and then hopefully can step into Belleville next year, just like the next guy on our list did this past season, as coming in at number 44, down one spot from last year, Maxence Gwinnett. What can you say about the French 7th round defenseman from 2019?
Well, first off, I can say I've learned that I've been mispronouncing his name for a long time. I was always saying Macens, but it's Macons, like you were saying. So that's definitely a programming note we got to work with there. But Gwinnett, man, this kid is exciting. Like, he started the Q on fire. Like, when the Q started way before everyone else, say what you want about whether that was the right decision or not, but he was lighting it up. Like, he had so many points to start the season. He finished the season with a pretty decent clip, 22 points in 36 games. But I think he really dropped off at the end of the season there. Like, he didn't have the same point streak, but playing with Val-d'Or, assistant captain, he's someone that he's going to be on the right side. I think he plays a bottom pair role in Belleville. And I think maybe I wouldn't be shocked if he gets to play second power play unit, because he's the kind of offensive defenseman that can really move the puck around and get his teammates involved in the play. So Gwinnett is for where was he selected? Yeah, 7th round. That's pretty good value, and I think he can have an impact in this Belleville Senators roster this season.
Yeah, and he's in that right-hand shot category, which is always intriguing, as it seems like a position of not a whole lot of depth across the National Hockey League. Everyone's always looking for that next right shot defenseman. And how young is the right side in Belleville? It's so exciting with Lassie Thompson, Jacob Bernard Docker, and Max Gwinnett. And we can't discount this guy had an unbelievable, not only last year, but how about pre-COVID, 40 points and 11 goals in 62 games. And look at his plus minus in his 4 years there too. I know it's not the be all end all, but in the rookie year, -35, then -33, then -11, and this past year, +19 as they turn the ship around. And well, they got to the final in the Q, but could not prevail there. He had 7 points in 15 games. It was +10 in those playoffs. He earned his contract, I would say, in spades, and I'm excited to see him step in to the AHL next year, because sometimes, and I'm a guy who lived in Halifax for 2 years and got to see the Mooseheads there, and growing up, you go over to the Bob and see the Gatineau Olympique, and like, it's an offensive juggernaut of a league. So let's see how he can transfer to pro hockey, but you got to be excited for a guy you took a flyer on that late in the draft, that already 3 years, you're penciling him in to a pair role in your organization.
Yeah, and I mean, he's only 20 years old, 6'2", 190 pounds. Like, I think there's a lot of road left on his prospect path. And for him to be already in Belleville after some pretty successful seasons in the Q, it's a great start for him. And I think he's going to be someone that Troy Mann's going to end up liking. And although they've definitely picked up some more veteran guys to help shore up that D, I still think Gannett is going to be a big part here.
You think he'd probably be second power play unit type guy as well, save JBD for those PK and 5-on-5 minutes, and then have, Lassie running the first power play unit and then
Definitely.
Gwinnett on the second. But what also could help Gwinnett, I think, is having a familiarity and a language that, it's great when your D partner, if they're both French, they can go, tete-a-tete on the ice, and they can communicate a little bit easier. And how about the next guy on our list as being a potential partner for Gwinnett in his first AHL season? Coming in at number 43 is Jonathan Aspero, who's only 2 years older than Gwinnett, but also has 2 more years of AHL experience and plus 13 spots on his ranking from last year. Just we liked what we saw from Aspero as a rookie in the AHL, although he didn't play a whole lot. And then, man, this past year, you're like, okay, this guy could get NHL games either this upcoming year or the year after.
Yeah, it's the growth of Aspero, like to go from being a guy who was
undrafted.
Undrafted, yep. And he gets a chance after playing in Moncton, the captain of Moncton in his final year in the Q. He gets a chance to play in Belleville. And yeah, like look at his point totals. Like you mentioned, the growth from season to season. 44 this is 2019, 2020. 44 games, 16 points. Last season, 27 games, 13 points, and he led all defensemen in goals with 7. So he's definitely figured out how to play his role in the AHL, and Troy Mann really trusts him. Like, if you go ahead, follow our friend Footy at Footy on the Air. He does a great job. Last season, especially when it was hard to get quotes from the coach, he would do threads of Troy Mann's quotes after games. And so many of those threads included Troy Mann talking very positively about Jonathan Aspero and how big of a responsibility he's put on him last season. And like you said, I think most people, at least in my mind, I think of him as like a 24, 25-year-old, but he's so young and has so little experience and has been able to shoulder all this weight and responsibility on a weak back end last season. I think he's going to be a massive part of Belleville this season and hopefully a partner for Gannett, because I think that's a good yin and yang defensive role mixed with offensive minded guy. But it's funny saying Aspero in the defensive role because, yeah, like I just said, he led all defensemen in goals last season in Belleville. So this is someone that I think the Sens really good scouting by them to find him and to keep him and to develop him. And like I always say, he's the kind of guy, in case of emergency, break glass and use Jonathan Aspero. If the NHL, if there's injuries in the NHL, that's the guy I'm calling up for maybe a week or two to play some bottom pair minutes in the NHL because he can handle it.
Yeah, and if we're talking about guys who are affiliated with the NHL club, not guys on one-way AHL deals, you're looking at likely Erik Brandstrom. Say what you want, and he should be able to earn a spot in training camp. I would say he's already earned his spot in the NHL level, but if contracts get in the way, you're looking at a left side of Erik Brandstrom, Dylan Hetherington, and Jonathan Aspero. And I think Aspero, as well as Dylan Hetherington, they're both going to have to take on that Hubert Labrie role and just be responsible defensively. But, man, he's got an absolute cannon of a shot. And you mentioned the great scouting. Well, guess who the head scout is? And guess where he spends his year round? And that's in New Brunswick. And so he got to see Aspero firsthand, saw a bit of a diamond in the rough there. Yep. And it seems like it's paying off. So I'm just excited to see the continued development of him, just like Parker Kelly, like 2 undrafted players who came in and knocked the door down and said, hey, we are going to play pro games in your organization. I love that mentality. And it's a great contrast to the high first-round picks that are on the other side of the ledger, and Bernard Docker and Lassie Thompson. So when you have that, you show those players that hard work will dictate your time on ice, because I'll bet, I don't have the numbers, but I would say Aspero certainly had more time on ice than Lassie Thompson last year.
Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. But Lassie did have a big role last year. But I mean, for a guy, like you said, comparing first-round draft pick, big pedigree to an undrafted guy at similar age groups, like for him to be where he is today, pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, so to recap today's list, we've got at 45, Johnny Tyconic down 13 spots from last year. Max Gwinnett down 1 spot, and then the big riser, Jonathan Aspero, up 11 spots to number 43. We've got plenty more to get to. We're going to try to finish this countdown right around the time the regular season opens. So we're just going to get there slow and steady. We want to take our time on each of them. And we also have lots of great off-season content coming your way. I mentioned the interview with Igor Sokolov. There's a couple other young studs in the Sens organization. We're working our best to find a time that works for everyone. I mentioned I'm in Sault Ste. Marie. Next time we speak, I'll be in Thunder Bay. And then the next time, I'll be in Winnipeg. And I'm all over the place right now. But Pilsy's holding down the fort. He'll be editing, and we love that. Thank you, Pilsy. And, man, this is going to be fun. Igor Sokolov, we chatted with him this weekend. How much fun do you have when this is just the best guy? Like, he's just so much fun to chat with. And one of those rare interviews where we don't even write down any questions.
Yeah, I mean, Pilsy, the king of prep. I didn't have a single question ready. And Igor's the kind of guy where you can do that, right? You can just chat with him, and he's excited to chat. Like, we talked about Angus Crookshank being appreciative of being on the show and excited to talk to us. Igor is the same thing. Like, he text us an hour early being like, I'm ready. We're like, we'll see you in an hour, Igor. But so much fun to talk to him. And Ross, I think this is the most. We had at one point 5 interviews banked in our back pocket. So, like, we're recording, we're grinding, we're getting content ready for you guys. Ross is doing his move, so he's all over the place. So we're making sure we got all our ducks in a row so we can have interviews for you guys. But Igor Sokolov was just so much fun to talk to, and we could have chatted for that guy for probably double the time that we had him, because he just has so many good stories like that. Great job, Ross, putting those YouTube clips together. The 2 sides of the Angus Crookshank first pro practice is absolutely hilarious. We should see how many Belleville guys we can get to tell that story, and then we'll mash them all together. Yeah,
that's awesome. The 2 guys we're working on, neither played in Belleville. That's a little hint for you this past year. 2 college kids, and I feel like we've dominated the Sens college ranks with Crookshank, Sanderson, and Clevin all on the show. We need to get Tyconic. Hopefully, you didn't listen to that breakdown, or maybe you won't want to come on. But no, we all say it in jest. We are cheering for these guys. We hope that they take the next step in their development, but somebody's got to be lower on the list, and that's just the way she goes sometimes. But hope everyone has a great day. We'll be back tomorrow, so you don't have to wait long for that interview with Igor Sokolov. As Pilsy referenced, I put out a little short story, and if you want a sneak peek of Igor, there's about 3 minutes of our chat with him, and it was about a half-hour conversation. So get ready for that. Have a great day. Thanks so much for listening. For Brandon Pillar, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.